Today is January 22nd, 2023 in Honolulu. And it's Sunday and I'm getting ready to go out in a few hours. And I had a little bit of time. I'm relaxing. I'm having my great cup of Kona coffee here. It's interesting because I bought this mug. I've got a few mugs that are like Hawaii themed, and I purchased this for $2.95 at the Tripler PX. Great deal. And they have a lot of kind of like a souvenir section where everything is very well priced. I love it. It says Hawaii on it, and the 50th state aloha. And I have other ones, but I thought this is the first time I've used it. And mostly every morning when I wake up, I have a cup of coffee. I drink coffee grown in Hawaii as much as possible. So that's really great. It's actually the only state in the U.S. that grows coffee. Very nice. And so I had a little bit of time this morning, and I thought it'd be great to catch up. I really love doing these videos because I'm not on a fixed schedule. And whenever I feel that I want to say something, I can just go on. And there's a lot of different topics that I want to cover. And then also I will have an archive on my YouTube channel. I'm believing that YouTube is going to be around for hundreds of years. Let's hope, right? Or 50 years or 20 years, whatever the length of time. And there'll be a YouTube channel where people can go back at long after I've returned to heaven. People can go back and say, oh, there's Bob, or whatever, right? Or my family members. So anyway, if you don't mind, I'm going to have my cup of coffee. Now, it's interesting because in the morning time, it's going on. It's a little bit after 8 o'clock in the morning here. It's going on 9 o'clock, especially around the time of 7 a.m. You can watch the plane. Like I see a plane right out my window right here. This is my living room window. I have a big window, and that's a private plane flying. And around 7 to 8 a.m. you see a lot of commercial jets. They're landing in Honolulu, which is about probably 10 miles from where I live, maybe a little further down the coastline. And the flight path is right in front of my window, but they're up high enough that you can't really hear them at all. You can see them really clearly, though. You can read which airline it is. It's a lot of fun to watch in the morning time because they go by about every 2 to 5 minutes, especially during their busiest time, which is between 7 to 8. And then after that, it kind of slows down a little bit, like every 5 to 10 minutes, a plane will go by. So that's a lot of fun. And there's a private airport also, probably just 5 minutes or 10 minutes from where I'm living. There's a private airport there that fly. That's why the private planes fly by, and also a few military jets take off from there because it's the Coast Guard station. So it's a lot of fun. But I wanted to kind of focus in on today a little bit, what I'm going to be doing. I put them in the title. Hopefully somebody's interested in that. The first one I was going to talk about was called surfing. Today, there's a big competition going on. It's called the Eddy. It's on the North Shore. Now, to drive to the North Shore, I'm on the west side of the island. To drive to the North Shore, it probably takes 45 minutes at the most. It's not difficult to go there, maybe even 30 minutes to go up to the North Shore area. And that's where they do the surfing competitions. They tend to get the largest waves up there. Now on the west side where I'm at, we also get large waves here too. And almost every time I drive by the coastline here on the west side, I see people surfing. But the professional competitions are held up on the North Shore. Today is one that's held. It can be held every year, but they wait for waves that are of a certain height. I think it's like 30 to 40 feet, which they're hitting today, that height. And then they just call this competition, and the best pro surfers, men and women from around the world, come here, and then they just wait for the competition to be called, to be held, and then they surf it. I don't know too much about it, but pro competitions are pretty frequent here, surfing competitions, and even for the children. They're not unusual. I've seen one for the children, but I haven't seen a adult pro surfing competition. I want to see one, and I'm going to go up in the future. But today, because today is a special one, the last time they held it was maybe 8 or 10 years ago, because they have to have a certain height on the wave, and it has to be really high. Well, it's today. So I thought about going, but there's only one road that goes around the island, and that road is going to be, they're expecting between 20 and 40,000 people to go watch it. The road will just be packed with cars, and it will be like, probably a waiting time for hours, just waiting in your car. So I thought, nah, I'm not going to do that. They have it live on TV, and I've posted it on my Facebook if you want to look at it, so you can see the waves, you can see the surfers. Did I do something by missing out on something that is held very infrequently? Probably yes, but pro surfing competitions are held here frequently, during the winter months, maybe every month or every 6 weeks or something, up in the same area. And so I can definitely see a pro surfing competition. And I went up to the North Shore about 2.5 weeks ago with a friend, and I looked at the big waves up there. At that particular day, it was windy and kind of rainy, so they didn't have any surfing competition, but I did see the big waves. And so I just want to see a surfing competition and then say, okay, I've seen it, and kind of get a feeling for what it's like. So I'm not going to go to the Eddy, and if they hold it in the future, I might. We'll just have to see. And then the other thing was today, which is Sunday, they have a memorial service for the last Hawaiian royal. Hawaiian was a monarchy back in 1890, and it ended. The U.S. came in and took over. And, I won't go into my feelings on that. But anyway, the Hawaiians basically lost their land. And they had a monarchy, and they deposed her. But her family members were still, a few of them were still around. At the end, the people didn't have children, the monarchy. So they had a system in place where they could adopt a child from someone else, and that person became a monarch or became in the royal line of succession. So now the last person alive died, and she was 90 some years old, and she just passed away. And now today they're having their memorial in the palace. The palace is now a tourist attraction, but it's still officially the palace of the people. It's a beautiful place. I've been in it. I highly recommend anybody to go in. The ʻIolani Palace is the name of it, to go there and take a tour and hear all about it and observe it. It's really a beautiful place. History is very interesting. So today they're going to they have her casket coming in at 1:30. I might be there at that time. I'm going to go down, and I'm going to participate in the memorial. They're having a public viewing, and you go through the palace, through they call it the throne room, where they have the two thrones, men and the woman, king and queen, and they're gonna have the casket there, and then you do a public memorial. And because she's the last line of succession, even though she wasn't direct blood, the system that they had set up was you didn't have children, you could adopt, and then she became line of succession, which is how it was set up. She was the last one, and there are no more. So I thought this is really more important, because there won't be any more royalty coming out of Hawaii. She was the last, and I thought, well, go down there and pay my respects, and then at the same time see something very unusual, very special that won't be repeated. And then she's going to be buried the next day on Monday in the royal mausoleum or cemetery, where all the royalty has been buried. So I thought, yeah, that's definitely takes priority. And then I can spend the afternoon kind of downtown area, which I really like. It's called the Fort Street Mall, and eating. They have really great places to eat, a lot of different choices, uh, and Hawaiian, Asian mostly. And it's a fun place to go to. And then they have, the shopping there. They have Walmart. They have uh, Ross, which is a clothing store. They have a lot of other little shops, all kinds of shops in that area. So I thought that's a good place to go and just have a nice afternoon after the memorial service. I'm going to take Johnny with me. I've thought about it. I thought, well, should I take him? He's actually a registered service dog. I got him registered, and so I could bring him. But the way I look at it is, if they tell me no, he's not going to be allowed in, then what happens? I just won't go up to where the casket is, and that's okay with me, because I want to see all the people lining up. I think it will be mostly Hawaiian people, and then and long term, people who've been here for generations, or family members, and then uh, I'll I'll observe that, and we'll just see how it goes. Either way is okay with me, because I've been in the palace several times, and I don't really need to go there and see that particular aspect of it with the casket. But if I'm allowed to do it, I'm fine with that. So that's going to be great, I think. So yeah, and then on Monday I have to go and I had a blood taken and a urine sample. They take great care of me here medically, and they're just running my cholesterol, and they're checking my blood for any abnormalities. So just see how I am. And then on Monday, I go to my doctor, and then he reads the test, and he sees what else I need, and that's all good. They do that. I see my primary medical doctor just for general routine twice a year. And then if I'm not feeling well, I call him up. And believe it or not, my medical care is so good. If I call my doctor up in the morning, he'll see me in the afternoon of that day. That's pretty great. He'll prescribe me medicine all free, because it's through the veterans. I have medical insurance that I can use a different person, or even a different system if I want, all free. But I use the veterans. I just prefer it. So that's good. What else can I tell you about? Everything is good here. The house is great. House things are fine. I'm not going to buy a car at this moment. I'm only going to buy, but every time I go out, I look at cars. We have great cars in Hawaii, even the ones that are older, like 10 to 15 years old. I think they just take good care of them. And then the other thing is, the environment is not, the weather is not hard on a car. So a car that's like 15 years old looks brand new here. And, you have to check the mileage. But I'm looking, every time I go out, I look at them and I think, boy, that's a nice looking car. I have great transport, so I don't really need a car. But I'm thinking, if our children come over here, they'll need a car, you know. So perhaps that's a possibility. They're not expensive. They're affordable here, because you can get the older cars that have low mileage, and they're just not expensive. Everybody wants a new car. Even the new cars are not that expensive. So that's good, I would say. Let me drink my coffee here. And then I posted last night something that, I'll be 66 in a few months' time, and thank God I'm still healthy and alive. That's the way I look at it. But I realize that when people get to be older, if they live that long, there is a point where you aren't able physically to do certain things. Most likely, you can't do it at the same level as what you did when you were younger. It's just the aging process. So right now, I still feel great, and I still feel very active, and I feel I have energy, and there's things I want to do, even at my age, and I especially it's not been something I've wanted to do like 20 years ago. It's at the stage of my life where I'm kind of like, I'll be 66, I'm 65. Why not do some things that are really special? And just, in my life with a bang, you could say. So I went yesterday to the dive shop where they do the diving, and I asked them some questions about it. I know the people who run the shop, and they said, yeah, you can do it. It takes 4 days. You get your certification. You go out every day, and it's private. It's not a group class. She told me, for you, we'll do private, and then also now not very many people are signing up for it. So I thought, wow, that's great, and it's in an area. It's not far from my house, so it's a really great area to do scuba certification, scuba diving. And I asked some other questions, and she said, well, it costs around $500 to do the certification. And I said, okay, that's great. And then uh, you get your certification. It's good for life, and that allows you to go out and rent equipment and go out, take boats. And I wanted to know, because I just want to do it to experience it and go under the water and then see things under the water I haven't seen, like turtles and fish, like while I'm right next to them, or maybe even dolphins, because this particular area where they're going to take me is called Electric Beach, which is where people go to watch dolphins, and they have all kinds of fish there. And I thought it's the area of this island that's known for the best snorkeling above the water, where you can look down. So you see people who know about that, and they go there for that purpose, and also boats anchor off there. And I thought, yeah, that'd be great. I've always wanted to see things under the water. And then also I could experience something a little bit different, which is weightlessness, or next to weightlessness. That'd be interesting. I like, I'm a reasonably good swimmer, and I'm not afraid of the water. So I thought, okay, I think I could do that. And I'm going to give it serious decision making in the next week to, 10 days. And it's easy for me to do. Once I sign up, of course, I want to make sure that I'm physically healthy. But once I sign up, it's a go. You just go there, and they give you all the equipment, and you just do it. And she told me, well, the way everything is set up is, you can rent the equipment for $40 a day, all the equipment from this particular shop. And then I don't know about how they do the boat, but it's not expensive. You can get a boat, and you can go out. You can go scuba diving, or you can rent a boat, or you can have someone take you. So I thought, well, at least if you have your certification, there are possibilities you can do it. Again, it's not a one-time deal, but I'd have to really enjoy it to want to do that. To be honest, I just want to do it one time to say I've done it. That's one thing. The other thing is, when my daughter was here about 6 months to a year ago, I looked into skydiving for her, and I looked into the details of it, and she didn't do it. But I thought, I knew about it. And when I was in the Army, when I was young, they actually came to me and said, my commander said, do you want to become a paratrooper? Do you want to go through that school, which is jumping out of airplanes for the Army? And I thought, nah, I'm not interested in that. I was like young. So, and I don't particularly like heights. So I passed on that. But, as I've gotten older, I thought, and I've watched people do the parachute diving where they're tandem, like an introductory kind of a thing. The parachutist is on your back, and he's the expert. And then you go up. And in Hawaii, it's really easy to do because there's private airports on the other side of the island, not the one near my house, and it's a beautiful area. It's the North Shore, and they take you up, and you do the tandem jump, and you can do 12 or 14. I probably would choose the 14,000-foot one, and you just jump out, and one-time deal. And I think I could do that. I'd probably pee my pants before I jumped out, but I'd be like, okay, it's a one-time deal, and then you pay a little extra money, and they do a video of it, and I'm like, yeah, I watched a video of it the other day. I could do that. Okay. And it's not expensive. It's crazy price. It's like $125, something like that. And I thought, okay, That sounds good. You see the whole island. You're up. You got a beautiful view of the island, and then they push you out the door. All right, that's the bad. The good news is you see this beautiful island, and the bad news is they push you out the door. So the good and the bad, right? So that would be good for me. And then the other thing that I went about in December to watch the Honolulu Marathon, and as I went down, I like that particular area. It's next to Waikiki where they do the finish line, and I just went there and I thought, well, I'd like to see the people who are kind of coming in toward the end to see what, because the first place runners, the professional runners, finish it very early in the morning. They start at like 6 and they finish at like 8 a.m. Takes them like 2 hours to run a marathon. And I really didn't want to get there at 8 a.m. or 7:30. So I said, I'll get there later and I'll watch the people who are finishing toward the end of the race. And what surprised me about it was the people who are coming in were not much different than me. Some of them were walking it because it's 24 miles. Some of them were just going really slowly, and when they got and they were all ages. They went all the way from 9 years old up to like 75. And some of them were fat even. And then they finished, they had running, and you have to sign up so you get a number. And then they put a like a medal around your neck, and it looked really nice. And I thought, boy, at least you could say you've done a marathon. And that one, I'm kind of like working up that in my head, because I'd have to train for that. I'd want to train. I wouldn't, and you'd have to be able to cover the distance, 24 miles, whether you walk it or whether you run it, and it's kind of like a one-time deal. It'd help you with your health. You'd be healthier. You're doing some training and you have a goal. So you'd lose weight, you'd be healthier. It contribute to your lifestyle. You'd feel good about yourself. And if you only did it one time, it'd have a positive impact. So I thought, okay, I'm thinking through that, because that requires a real mental commitment. And I think I could do it, though, based upon the people who I saw finishing. Okay. And then they had some people in a wheelchair, even, like coming in, finishing in a wheelchair. And I thought, and they were walking around after they finished. They were so happy, and they were walking around the area. And I was down there next to the finish line, and, you'd see all these people walking around, all ages, men, women, all different kind of body shapes, some fat, some a little, but most were relatively fit, you could say. You didn't see anybody who was like super fit, because those people finished much earlier from the time I arrived. So, yeah, that would be a great accomplishment at my age. I'd be 66. It's next December, 2023. I'd be 66, but what an accomplishment at my age to be able to do these kind of three things. And I have a lot of other kind of personal interests that I'm interested in, but I thought the three things I mentioned are physical, physical activities. I'd like to do a cooking course, which I can sign up for free at the university here, if I'm accepted. Yeah, that'd be good. And because I'm officially media, which I won't go into, but I have a media card, international, that's recognized by governments. Then what happens is I might be able to do a fighter jet flyover. They have the Blue Angels this year come, and I found out the media could sign up for it, and they would actually take the media up in the jet, and they do the rollover, and be like one person. Okay, that's kind of a stretch, but I'm going to work on that. Okay, because next, like say when they come back, which they do it once a year, is called the air show. And just 2 or 3 days before, they allow the media to come in, and then they do different things with them. And, you can even go out on the ships. And I thought, yeah, I might have to try that. Okay. And then write a story, and present it to Poland TV. So that'd be pretty cool, I think. but that's kind of a long shot because there's things I have to do to get that in place. Um, Everything is good here. I hear there's a plane, a single engine private plane going over. The people own planes here, and they go out, and that's their hobby, right? They fly around, and they like to fly planes. Another thing too that would be interesting to do here. I'm not going to do it because of the cost, but to go up in a glider, you know, uh, you could go around, see the whole island in a glider. I'll look into it because if it's affordable and it's a good price, lots of things in Hawaii are really great prices because there's a lot of competition here to attract the tourists. The tourists are coming, so that makes the prices low if you really know what you're doing. And maybe the gliders are like that. I know taking a helicopter around the island is really expensive because they target the tourists and then they charge them a huge amount of money to do that. So I wouldn't do that. But I'll look into it, thinking about some other things I could do. I've always said I wanted to go out and see dolphins or whales because they're right outside. They're like this. The ocean is over there, about 10-minute drive straight out my window, um, and that's where they are. So I've thought about that, and you'd have to arrange a boat to go out. I know people who do that. They do that as a business. They go out, they have boats, and they go out and they offer that to tourists. But I haven't done that because there's no guarantee you're going to see anything. Actually, you go out and you paid the money for it. This is what happens to the tourists, and they always say there's no guarantee, which is reasonable. You go out and you want to see whales, and they can't guarantee that, but they take you out for a few hours and then they come back. So, but that would be interesting. I mean, to see a whale or a dolphin swimming, they have some kind of law now here where you can't be you have to stay a certain distance away from wildlife like whales and dolphins. I think it's like 50 meters or 50 yards. You're not allowed to swim to them or go up to them and try to touch them. Now, that doesn't mean they can't come over to you. If they come over to you, that's allowed, but you're not allowed to chase them, and there's a fine for that. So that's reasonable. That I wouldn't want to do that, to be honest. I wouldn't want to interfere with the wildlife. We have seals here. That's pretty easy to see. You can go out. I've never seen them, but there's certain areas around my house, not too far away, where the seals come up and they just lay on the beach, and so that'd be interesting to see. And they're big, they're baby seals and big seals. And again, you're not allowed to bother them. I have seen the big sea turtles, and I've swam with them, and they swam right next to me. It was a bit scary, but come on, you know a little bit about turtles. As long as you don't put your finger in front of their mouth, you're okay. But they were like 1 meter wide, big turtles, and there was more than one, and they were right next to the shore where I just happened to be in the water, and I saw the turtles right there swimming around and hanging out. Very cool. Very, very cool, I must say. So that's what it's like living here in Hawaii. Definitely pick the right place to live. Oh, and then let's see, I'll mention a little bit about eating downtown. There's an area called 4th Street Mall, and it's next to Chinatown. It's the oldest. It's called downtown Honolulu. It's the oldest area of Honolulu. It's where the original downtown was, along with Chinatown. And it's a fun place to go to. They have a lot of old Victorian style buildings that still remain from 100 years ago or 140 years ago. And they have plaques on a lot of them explaining the history of the building. They have photographs. So it's very interesting. And they have a lot of mom and pop places to eat with all kinds of, different choices. You have Vietnamese, you have Japanese, you have Chinese. You can see European, but it's not that common, like German food. I'm trying to think other kinds of food they have. Hawaiian food, which is a different kind of food. And you can see all that. It's very, very easy. And it's there aren't hardly, there's not very many people down there. So it's not crowded at all. And you just go on the streets, and the streets are kind of small with the shops on them. And you just go on the streets and, look around and get to know it. I know the area a little bit because I've spent time down there. I like the area. And, because they have so many places to eat, it's really easy to just stop in and find a place that you haven't been to before. So that'll be fun. That's called the downtown area of Honolulu. Usually when people think of downtown, they think of like tall skyscrapers and, tall buildings and commercial district. Honolulu has that too, which is not the area I'm talking about. It doesn't really have a name to it. It's not called downtown Honolulu. Downtown Honolulu are the old buildings that have been there for 140 years. It mixed in with some tall buildings and residential areas, but it's the area that was historically the downtown area. And then further away in a different area of Honolulu is an area where they have more commercialized district. So yeah, love it. I just love living here. I'm enjoying my time. Oh yeah, I want to mention too something very unusual. I'm just kind of talking about everything. Believe it or not, probably very few people. It has named the Real Yellow Pages on it. The older people will know what this is. Okay. The younger people, like under 35, will not know what this is. It's called the Yellow Pages. It's a yellow book. And I'm going to explain it to you. They deliver it to everybody with an address in Hawaii. Okay. They did that when I was a kid back in Illinois, and they stopped it back in maybe 1980, 82. As far as I know, it's not done hardly anywhere in the mainland of the U.S., but they still do it in Hawaii. It's a phone book, and it lists all the phone numbers with the description of businesses. And before, they would actually put the name of individuals in the phone book, like every individual had a telephone, unless you request not to be put in the phone book, would be put in the phone book. So you could look up like Robert Kraft, and then you'd see my phone number if I wanted that. But now it's just the Yellow Pages are strictly the businesses. And there's they take out ads, and they talk about the business, and they give background to it, and then they give you a phone number to call. So if you have car problem, an auto mechanic, you look under auto, it's alphabetical, and then you see all the auto mechanics on the island with a description and a phone number. It's really a cool thing. Now with the internet nowadays, we don't really need this, because you just type in whatever you're interested in. You put down Honolulu, and it pulls up it pulls up the same information, except it doesn't pull up the beautiful advertising that the people sign up for, that they can submit to the Yellow Pages, where it's very detailed, a lot of times with pictures of the people. The internet doesn't do that, but it's kind of the same. People use the internet now. And even this, I'm not going to keep this because I don't really want to put it in space in my house. I might keep it, because when my kids come over, or anyone who's younger comes to visit that's not from Hawaii, I can show them this, and they probably have never seen one of these. They won't even know what it is. And, they're not going to be that interested in it probably. But I might not keep it, and I might keep it. It's just going to take some space, I'm thinking about it. So the Yellow Pages goes out in Honolulu to everybody who has an address. Down where I pick up my mail in my building, they have all these sitting up on top of the mailboxes. It's crazy. This was like when I was a kid. This is what they had when I was a kid. And all those, since 1930 in the U.S., they've had the White Pages and the Yellow Pages. The White Pages were for we're for people. Let me see. Let me think how to explain it. We're personal phone numbers, like the addresses with phone numbers of people. Yellow pages are businesses. So I don't know what else to tell y'all. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and feel free to leave a comment if you want to sign up for the best way I would explain to do the to stay in to watch these videos is I do it through Facebook Live, and there's a notification that pops up on all my friends. I think all my friends' Facebooks while I'm online. They will say Bob Kraft is live now, and then people can click and they can watch. So that's how people know, but they have to be online to see it. Once I go offline, the video still shows up on my Facebook, but people aren't notified. So, that makes the numbers go down watching. But it also goes to my YouTube channel. Now, my YouTube channel is an archive, and it's very easy to see all the live videos there, and you can watch past videos, and plus you can go there and watch them in, when it's convenient for you. And I think the quality of the video is better on YouTube. I'm working on improving the quality of my live videos in the future, but that would be I would suggest signing up on my YouTube channel to, at your convenience, go to it and then watch the videos. Find ones that interest you, because I always try to put the topic and the date so you can find some of some interest to you. So I hope this has been helpful to you, and I'm happy to see everything's going. I'll be leaving in about 3 hours, I think, for downtown Honolulu and the memorial service of the princess. And so I'm glad I could catch up with you. Take care wherever you are in the world, and good morning to everybody. And you're part of the world. Here is morning time. So take care.